All right, so this episode of Pop Culture POV Point of View is basically taken from another series that we do here on RandomlyRJ.com. This one to me was really fun because I love when you have a talking point that sort of just comes out of nowhere. So, as a backstory, RandomlyWithRonnieJr.com has a variety of series. I'm very proud of that. All these different shows, and of course, tons of stuff on the Patreon. Patreon.com/RandomlyRonnieJr. To me, it's all good quality stuff, lots of perspective, lots of point of view, which is, of course, my favorite part about it. So on this one, we were doing a year in review for the series Difficult Podcasters. Now, Difficult Podcasters is something I do with Kelly Oliski, and we recap Hulu's Difficult People. So the series on Hulu, Difficult People, aired in 2015, so long ago now. It was so good, so funny, snarky, the whole deal. And Kelly is somebody I've known for so many years, so it makes sense that we just go back to this old show, recap it, and talk our own shit. But we were in a nostalgic holiday warmth, I guess, and we did a holiday episode, and in our year-end review, we decided to bring on other panelists. So we had Jordan, aka DJ Shaky of The Function LA, and we had Dorinda of NXT Connection. So everyone's chatting, we're talking about all of our favorite memorable moments, and somehow somebody had brought up that Drew Barrymore was talking to so-and-so on a talk show, and I just about lost it. Not in a bad way. I just am like, wow, Drew Barrymore has a talk show. And the clip will be up here in a second, but just as a notion to kind of break down, like, it's not just a snarky critique. It's not just me, like, having an opinion because Drew Barrymore is on a TV show. That's fine. She's, of course, a child actress and has been around for many, many years. It's more about the idea that talk shows, to me, were always something that they brought great light to me as a child. Like, growing up, it's the only thing I ever wanted to do. When people would talk about careers, it was always a talk show or a radio show. I was very much the kid that had the toilet wrapper, would look in the mirror and go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 like it was my microphone and like I was on TRL or whatever. And, I would watch Johnny Carson, at 11:35, I believe it was, and David Letterman. You see the clips now of old Joan Rivers, Dickie Cavett. In my day, it was really Arsenio Hall had a moment, and I would love the work. I remember just being like, I think I want to do a talk show, but at the same time, when I get older, I was a teenager, early teenager at that. I said I want to be involved in a talk show, and or if I had the nerve, if I had the audacity or the gall, I'd like to be the host of a talk show. So just as a perspective of where I land when it comes to why I'm just going to have this opinion on Drew Barrymore just getting a talk show. And again, all the other celebrities who had talk shows, and for some reason, her seems to work. There are celebrities who have had talk shows, and it makes sense. I kind of feel like, honestly, I do like what Gloria Estefan is doing with her family, and that seems to be something that's unique and different. My big goal with the celebrity doing a talk show is, don't take away the work from, like an authentic broadcaster, such as, like, Wendy Williams. Say what you want about her, she started her career as a broadcaster. It is one of the reasons why she's as good as she is. Howard Stern from radio, Sway from Sway in the Morning from radio, Carson Daly, who I think is one of the best from radio. So say what you say, but I really love the concept of a really good broadcaster doing a talk show. And Ricki Lake, she could have it too. I think she's had her original series and then it came back for a little bit. But you know what? Reboots are in season. I would go for a reboot of a third Ricki Lake talk show, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, this is the group, the panel discussion about a year in review. Please check it out. Difficultpodcasters.com is where you could find it. Difficultpodcasters.com is where you could find it. And it's got tons of great episodes, but the year in review is a real hoot. It's so funny. These are all great friends of mine I've known a long period of time, and we're bantering, talking shit together. And of course, when Drew Barrymore's name comes up, this is what came up. Enjoy.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it all goes hand in hand. So there is that constant for those two. But then you've got like Machine Gun Kelly, who's got this crazy romance with Megan Fox. And, you know, she's, you know, he was just on the Drew Barrymore show because he launched like a nail polish line called like Lacquer, I think. And he's just kind of like getting into himself and doing all these other things. But he talked about how sometimes it's really hard for him to kind of go put on a smile and do all these things. And him and Drew Barrymore had a real enlightening conversation about that sort of thing and how you don't really have to pretend, like it's okay to not be okay stuff, which I thought was great.
Do you guys find it shocking that Drew Barrymore keeps succeeding with her talk show? I feel like that is just amazing. I mean, it is.
I love her, so I'm happy.
For a talk show, Kelly. For a talk show.
I mean, I was a little taken aback by it. I'm not gonna lie, but I love her.
I wish my cup of water was filled with vodka. For a talk show, you say?
Tell us how you really feel, Ronnie, without telling us how you really feel.
You know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for every celebrity that got a chance to do a talk show who probably didn't deserve it. You know, I of course come from radio. I always said prefer people who really care about the craft. I like them. With the exception of Kelly Clarkson, because she's the queen. But I would say in my heart of hearts, I'd say all these people, celebrities, got talk shows and they went right off the air. But for whatever reason, Drew Barrymore is looked at as somebody to get multiple seasons and to oh gosh, it's just, you gotta
think about her story. Like, you know, she was partying at 12.
Right. So save it for the documentary. The talk show is what I have an issue with.
So I've only seen.
She's a little too bubbly for me sometimes, and I can't watch like a full episode of her show, but I'll watch like the YouTube clips. I need it in pieces.
Okay. On TikTok clips.
I've only seen one episode.
You've only seen one episode, or you haven't seen it?
Yeah. I've only seen one episode, but it was, and I can't even remember who it was, but it was also someone from like the 80s, from like her coming out to the public type of deal. Yeah. So, and I honestly can't remember who it was, but it was someone along those lines. And it was just I just remember it being cool because they just both came from the same thing. So there's that to be said, whether, you know, I don't care how good you are at an interview. If you're kind of detached from the topic, and I don't know, it has to come off a certain way to me. So I thought it was actually cool.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen her with like different types of guests. So I don't know.
If you were trying to write a term paper and you had to not go to sleep, I would hope that wouldn't be what was on the television in the background, because you would stop writing your term paper because you would probably go to sleep from watching the show.
Okay.
You know, but she is lovely. We did agree on that. Dorinda, stop with the face.
I'm like, whoa, I've never heard you speak of anybody like this before.
Well, you haven't been tuning into difficult podcasts.
It's the shock in the generalization. I've never, and it's funny, but it's like, wow.
I never thought of her as boring.
Yeah.
That one episode I saw, it never came across as boring. It just came across as like, oh, well, that's interesting. It's like, she's clearly not like a host type. But
so that does it for you.
That was part of the
watch, Ronnie.
I watched a lot, and I feel for like Queen Latifah had a talk show, didn't get a chance. Jeff Probst had a talk show, didn't get a chance. Dr. Drew had a talk show, didn't get a chance. Katie Couric had a talk show, didn't get a chance. But for whatever magical reason, Drew Barrymore gets a chance. But hey, we're talking about memorable years, and she's had a memorable year, so we'll leave it in the positive.
Yeah.
I think I got a call from my agent recently that Drew Barrymore wants me to be on the show, so I should probably stop talking mess before I ruin my opportunity. Yeah,
you should do like you should show this clip.
Yeah. Anyway.
This is this right here is like what I would pitch for you to be a guest if I was your publicist.
I love the way Dorinda says, I've never heard Ronnie talk like this. I'm like, well, you need to start listening to Difficult Podcasters a little bit more, because this is my weekly, Kelly will know, every week I give it. Kelly, do you have any other topics?
Listen to Ronnie in general.
Well, true.
Yes.
Well, you know, getting off that topic for a second, like my other thing was like just like reboots. Like I'm so kind of over all the reboots.